So excited to be live right now. I have three incredible founders with me today for Startup CPG's The Dish. I'm Jenna Momsovitz. I'm the managing editor of Startup CPG's magazine, The Spotlight, and I love being the host for this conversation. We're going to have a casual conversation today, get to know where these brands are at in their journey, and chat a little bit about the space in general. So, love to start by having everyone introduce themselves. Vanessa, we will have you kick off.
Sure. My name is Vanessa White, and I'm one of the sisters behind Jaju Pierogi. So my sister does the finance and operations, and I do the sales and marketing for Jaju. We sell pierogi, obviously, frozen.
Yeah, awesome. Rachel?
I love it. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm the founder of Mala Girl, and we are instant ramen inspired super powders. So just add hot liquid anywhere. If you're cooking or drinking with hot water, you need to have a dose of Mala Girl. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Kayla.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla. I'm the founder of Agua Bonita. We make better for you aguas frescas that also support migrant farm workers. It's a traditional Mexican drink. You can find us in Whole Foods, Target, and a bunch of other fun places.
Awesome. Thank you all. And just a quick note that I am one of the judges of the Shelfie, so I have had the pleasure of trying all of your products actually fairly recently. So Thank you for sharing your products and submitting them to the Shelfies. And I can attest to the fact that they're all wonderful products. And whoever is listening to this or watching this, definitely check them all out, and we'll give you the opportunity at the end to share where we can find you. But right now, I would love to get into the conversation. So one of the things that we just love chatting about at Startup CPG is like the reality of being a founder. So I would love to start with just what are some of the ups and downs from the past month? I guess we kind of just kicked off August. So what are some of the ups and downs from July? And we can start again with Vanessa and go in that same order. So what were the ups and downs of Jaju in July?
Yeah. So I think, I should mention that my sister and I were in production of our product up until January. So we started in 2016 and we were still like managing production every day. And then at night, like trying to run the business up until January. And we did find like a great co-manufacturer partner that's actually local. And it allows us to actually have one of our longest employees running our line. So it's like the best of both worlds. But now that we are actually behind like a computer and able to strategize, I think like the ups and downs, I think it's, for example, like the hot buttery dumplings, like our shining season is not July and August. We're definitely like a cold weather food. And so I think as we grow, we have to pay more attention, like when we're like feasting as a brand, to know that like there's going to be a part of the year where we're like, hello, is anyone out there? Like, I mean, not that dramatic, but you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of like managing the cycle of the business a little bit better now that we're not so like head down in it. And strategizing, like managing finances. We are completely self-funded. And so, managing our finances and our marketing and strategizing around that. So I think the last couple months have really like taught us, as we do our 2024 planning, how we kind of like spread the wealth throughout the year. In the summer, we do a lot of events. So we act as a food truck and we go to festivals and things like that. So that helps with some cash flow stuff. But yeah, last weekend, I just cooked personally 10,000 pierogi at Newport Folk Fest in that heat. So, but that's kind of what I would say is like the bumps in the road from like the last month is just kind of being like, okay, yep, it's our slow season again, learning those lessons.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I'm writing the next magazine right now and it's on frozen foods. And typically frozen is really challenging in the summer, obviously, because heat makes it hard to ship. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse to be a frozen food that is also seasonally aligned with winter instead of having your heaviest shipments in the summer. But I could also, I'm interested in the way that you've been spreading the wealth throughout the year. That was really fascinating. So Rachel, do you want to go next? What are some of the ups and downs of the past month of Mala Girl?
Sure. Yeah, I think a couple of definitely some ups, right? I think as a founder, I'm sure you guys know, you're every day is it's like this. It's hey, this is going great. And then, oh, something happened on the website. Oh, wait, it's not linking anymore. Super. And then your time diverts. But for us, it's been the retail. We've been strategizing this year, and we actually got our boxes. We're actually ready to go. And you sometimes I think you get stressed out on such small things. And then I turn around, I was wow, from start to finish, it was really only 5 months. And now they're ready to go, and our numbers are up this summer. And I'm with you, right? Because we're activated with hot water. So I hear you on the summer. But because of the retail, our numbers are up organically over the summer than they were last year. So they're definitely different types of opportunities, because what Vanessa was saying, in that downtime, you're able to meet with new customers and just building, you're building up for the fall and the winter season. So I think the summer is actually a really great time to strategize and get geared up. Yeah. If you can hear me.
Yeah, really. Yes, that was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, we had some sound issues backstage, but we've made it work. No, it's really interesting to actually hear from two more winter-centered brands, because now, Kayla, you have a pretty summery product. I'd love to hear how July has been treating you.
Yeah, I think for us, it's been all hands on deck, and it's been pretty crazy over here. We are right in the middle of just this huge stage of growth. So, we had maybe 200 stores last year, and this year we're tracking for 2,000 stores. So it's a huge leap. But, as every founder knows, growing pains, emphasis on the pains part, right? It's just trying to manage everything that new distribution comes with. So for us, the last month has been really centered around conversations with investors and trying to find new investors, which everyone knows that's just the wild west right now. And also, I just had a baby. I just gave birth a few weeks ago, so to top it off, it's just been a little bit of adjusting on all fronts, especially when we have such a small team, and every single person on the team has to show up and get something done. So yeah, a lot of adjusting on our side.
That's a nice way to put
the baby.
Adjusting. Yeah, you just had a baby. Adjusting.
Yeah. I'm actually interested. I don't know many founders who have recently given birth, and now that one's in front of me. Do you give yourself leave?
I did not. I wish that we were in a position to, and maybe if I had given birth in the winter, then I would have given myself a leave.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the height of our busy season, and so it doesn't really make sense. I don't think. I mean, I would still get phone calls every day, even if I was, But I would say my team has been super good in especially those last weeks right after. Just trying to give me as much space and absorbing things as much as they can and stuff like that. So I got a leave as much as I could have at this point.
I always say it's you have two babies now.
Yeah.
You have your business baby and then a real baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be honest, all of our businesses are our babies.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure.
Well, thank you for taking the time to even do this.
Yeah,
Vanessa, I like to say Mala Girl is in her terrible twos. I definitely relate to her.
Oh my goodness, that's really funny.
Okay.
Well, I guess we're kind of hearing a bit of this already. We've heard a lot around seasonality and touched on fundraising a little bit, but I want to dig in a little bit more on some of the challenges that you're all facing in a little bit more detail. So, Vanessa, we can start again with you. What is a challenge that you're facing right now?
Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge that we're facing is, as going back to what I said, we really started our business growing. We always wanted to be just go distribution with grocery, but we built our brand awareness through events. So in the Northeast. So we lucked up. Sometimes people talk about like luck in their business. And I would say that like the luck for us was that we launched when the whole like craft beer scene was really coming up. And so we acted kind of like as a pop-up, like we never had a food truck, but we would like pop up a tent and have like griddles and everything. And so when everyone was like lining up at breweries and like crazy about food trucks, we were there. We were like the first pierogi like food vendor in New England for sure. And so we really grew our brand awareness in New England doing those events. Like every weekend we were like at 3 different places, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like all the time. And so we've really honed in on like the really, lucrative and high volume events now. And we're still places every weekend, but it's more like curated. We're starting to launch like a national events plan. Going to St. Louis for the first time to do like a big event with a brewery there in November. But I think, so just going back to the challenge is like, we felt very confident in launching in stores in New England and we're very dense here. But as we go national, like we're at Sprouts, like we're in some other pockets of smaller independent chains like around the country. It's the challenge of marketing and supporting all the promotions that are required of you when you're self-funded is I'm the marketing person of Jaju, and I, luckily, like I'm able to do. I see the world through that lens, so I do a lot of the creative on my own and a lot of the social media or all the social media. But some of the other things that you need to do, like SEO or paid social, or there's all these other things now. There's Aisle where you can like Venmo someone back. The portion of all this stuff requires so much money. And so I think, we're starting to have a real reckoning, I guess, with where it's like, we need to do this stuff because people in Tucson, Arizona don't know who we are like they do in Providence, Rhode Island. Like they just don't know. And so where does this money come from? Like we were very tight with not taking on investment. And that's kind of been our plan for a while. But now it's like, do we have to do that? Because you really need marketing dollars to support the product on the shelf. So that's kind of the biggest challenge we're having right now is supporting sales nationally, being as scrappy as we possibly can and as creative. And like, I'll work a million hours and like do all that stuff, but some stuff I just like don't know how to do. So that's, I think, our biggest challenge right now.
Yeah, I'm hearing that common sentiment of like the things you do at the start typically aren't scalable. Something like such in-person interaction as demoing so frequently, and then obviously that can't be as scalable as you grow, is a really interesting challenge. Kayla, I'd love to hear from you if you maybe have some advice around that, because I know that your product also requires like maybe a little bit more education because the average consumer doesn't know about it, and you also are national, I believe. So wondering if you could.
Can I just say I love Agua Fresca, and I had no idea about the brand, and I am like so excited because I would always like have it at a Mexican restaurant or something, and I'd be like, God, someone should bottle this stuff. It's so good. So now I'm so psyched to go like buy all of it.
Yeah, no, that was definitely like the strike of inspiration that I had. Like my mother-in-law was home and she was making us aguas frescas every day, and I was like, oh, I wish I could have this all the time. And then I was like, wait, I could have this all the time if I just started a company. And so I mean, for us, it's a lot of the shared sentiment, the same as Vanessa, around like all of these things costing so much, especially as you go national. And I think like with or without outside investors, like that is still a challenge. And for us, like personally, I think that finding like aligned capital is really important, because for us, one of the disconnects that we've been seeing is explaining to some folks like why this is an important spend of our capital, right? Because like on the books, it might just look like you're giving away so much free product. Like, why are you giving away free product? But it's one of those industry things where it's like, yeah, but they need free fills, and we have to go out and demo at these places, and all of this stuff is really expensive, and you don't see like that immediate return, per se. And so I think that can be a challenge, when you bring on outside funding, is just like making sure that like the understanding is there on like what this investment is really like going towards, because these are things that in our industry you just have to do. And especially like you said, Jenna, like for our product, there is a little bit of that education element, and demos are super important for us. And so being able to scale a demo program is incredibly expensive. And so for us, we've had to really pick and choose, like, where do we activate that? And like, do you focus on like your top 50%, or do you focus on the bottom 50% and like try to, build that sort of strategy? So I would say like, it can be difficult no matter where you're at in terms of financing, because these are like necessary evils per se.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I wonder if free fill is a necessary evil, or if whether we have any power, if we all just rose up and led a revolution.
Yeah.
Maybe we wouldn't have to do a free fill, or at least maybe we wouldn't have to do a free fill at the list price of a distributor, which is absolutely insane.
Right.
Like so insane. Oh my goodness.
But that seems to be the
revolution. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that seems to be the piece of retail. It's like, okay, great, you're getting in and you're like, okay, this is where we want to be, but you're not going to pull a profit anytime in the near future with all the free and all the demos and everything that you need to do. So you really have to because when you demo it, I'm sure when you demo your stuff, like your excitement, nobody knows, like, why the pierogies are special and why the Agua Bonita and why Mala Girl is special. But when you're there, like that energy, I mean, we sell out. And how do you make that scalable with some of the demo people? How do you transfer that same excitement instead of like, here, try this, and it's like, it's a flat line, so I enjoy it though. There's some like weird sickness of like the challenge. It's a challenge is what it is. It's fast that you just never knew it existed. Like you're like, I've got this great product and we're growing. And then it's like, here comes the next obstacle. What are you going to do? Are you going to jump it?
Yeah.
You're going to go around it.
I always admire the founders that are like road warriors that are just like, taking these statewide trips and demoing at all these places and just like, like living in their cars and things like that. I think now having a baby, that's not so much of an option for me. You know what I mean? But it's something that I really, really admire for other founders that I see doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely make a world of a difference to have the energy. Like there's no energy like the founder's energy. There's no passion like the founder's passion. It goes back to what Vanessa was saying. This is all of your babies. And that definitely comes through in demos. And as much as there are incredible demo agencies out there, I'm sure that the ambassadors to our tabling don't have the same passion as everyone in front of me. So it's definitely a challenge. Rachel, I don't know if we necessarily got to you. What is another challenge that you are facing right now?
Yeah, I think we did. I feel like everybody was kind of saying the same language. It's scaling it. It's like, okay, we're ready and we're getting in there. And then you hear the obstacles, like, if it's a slotting fee, maybe they call it something different, but at the end of the day, you're still probably making a $10,000 investment to get into the stores, So it's not that you don't think about it, but you really don't think the numbers are that high. So it takes a little bit to get it back. And then as you go to the next stores, it's just the same sort of, challenge. So that, those are funds that are needed. So I feel like the biggest challenge, of course, is Captain Obvious, is the dollar. How do you work with what you have and just, get scrappy and go around it, do what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just from our perspective, we just realized, so after launching with Sprouts, because Sprouts was a huge financial commitment for us as a frozen item. I think they probably ask for more free fill as a frozen item versus a shelf
stable. Yeah.
But we just realized that like we have to be really strategic with the chains that we bring on. In the sense of like, well, first of all, not everyone's a good customer. Like not everyone is the right customer for your brand. So, you know, when it's okay, which is like so hard as a founder or as whatever, to say no to someone that you think is not going to move a product. Like ours is a premium product. So, you know, our price point is not going to work in some groceries, like more conventional or like extremely conventional stores. Yeah. So it's okay to say no because those stores are going to ask for a free fill or a slotting fee, and you're not going to make your money back because you're not going to move product at the rate that they're going to want to keep you on shelf or whatever. It's going to take you forever. So like, that's one thing we've decided. And also just like pacing out, you know, for me, from a sales perspective, we have a few chains that we're launching with and knowing that there's going to be a free fill or a slotting fee element. And then really strategizing and filling in with like the independents and the co-ops and everything that are going to pay full price. So it's kind of like adding that diversity to your sales portfolio. But you really have to be smart about like, you can't just go and approach like all of the major chains in the country. I mean, obviously it's so unpredictable, like when these things are going to hit, like the lead times, and it could take years to get into some places, you know? Yeah. And I think like we've just said like, okay, we did Sprouts, like we can't do another Sprouts this year. Like we can do a couple smaller chains, but because we're self-funded, like we just have to be very smart about who we're approaching.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I'm interested, Kayla, do you share a similar perspective as someone who has taken outside funding?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it doesn't go away just because you take on some investment. I think that there actually is probably even more pressure to like perform well, knowing that you've taken on outside investment, right? Because it's not just your gamble, it's your investors' gamble, their LPs' gambles, you know what I mean? And so I think there's this expectation to be even more strategic with this capital and to like have, you know, a bigger, you know, debut on certain things. But I mean, there's been certain retailers that we have chatted with that like, yeah, we would love to do more with, but like we just truly can't. And like beverage in particular is like super competitive and like really high MOQs for production, you know, and that in and of itself, you can see $1 million go like that. And so I think it's just one of those things where we still have to have that discernment around like the types of accounts that we're going into and like figuring out, you know, who do we say no to or who do we not pursue at all, so that way we can like make these promos work and make these demos work with this money that you know, we have at hand. And I think also like once you raise money, there's always like a pressure to raise more money, because you know, you're supposed to be pursuing like outsized returns for your investors. And so, you know, that's a whole issue in and of itself. And it also takes time. It takes time to like raise money. So that means like if I'm spending my time trying to find new investors and talking to people about raising money, I'm not spending my time on something else. And if I'm our only salesperson or something like that, you know what I mean, then who's doing those things? And like, you know, and if I'm supposed to be bringing like the passionate founder energy to these meetings, like how do I do that when I'm like caught up in all of these other meetings, you know? And so it's still a matter of discernment for us too. We're still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that perspective as well. I had a feeling it would be even more of an emphasis with someone as someone who has taken external funding. So I just was curious what your perspective was. But now that we've gotten a little bogged down by the idea of where limited funding cannot take you, I'm curious where the potential for funding could take you. So I would love to hear again from all of you. I have this fun question: is just if you had endless budget, what would you prioritize right now? I know you all have had really strong visions for your companies, and maybe certain things have come in and become obstacles to those visions. So if money was no object, what is the next thing that you would prioritize in your brand? And Vanessa, we'll start again with you.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I go back to like the marketing and just so many different ways to get the product in front of people. So our business is my baby, and I intend it to be my only baby. I don't really want anything. So at least for right now, maybe I'll have like another business baby down the line. But for right now, that's kind of what it is. So I might like consider doing a roadshow because we like when we do these events. So we don't really do demos. We do these like big. We sell it. We get the highest margin for our product going direct to customer. Obviously, we sell these instead of selling them for like 50 cents each at wholesale. We're selling them for $2.25 each. We're frying them up at breweries. So I might do like a roadshow. I would do like the aisle, like I want to create a loyalty program. So it's like scan or buy, every bag you get, you send us your receipt, we give you, $1, $2 back. On your 10th bag, you get a free one. Like there's a lot of brands doing that stuff. I would probably do like out of home stuff with billboards. I would love the opportunity to do more collaboration flavors with other brands. But obviously like that involves so much packaging and all that, and like an outlet to sell it is another challenge. So I think I have like so many ideas for marketing. And I think that's where we're kind of shifting from taking on new account. Like we're still approaching new accounts. A lot, like I said, a lot of like the smaller, maybe like 20 store independents size. But I think what we're really focusing on for 2024 is nurturing the existing accounts and making sure our product is moving at those accounts. So it's like all of this marketing to get our name out there. That's like unlimited budget. Like I could have so much fun with that. Like I'm literally designing a pierogi costume right now. So like just fun things that are just like get to know us. That's what I would spend my money on.
I love that. I kind of want to dig into that a little bit too, because I'm interested. You mentioned out of home, you mentioned this roadshow, a pierogi costume, and I'm not hearing paid social in that list. And I feel like a few years ago, that would be the top of a lot of people's lists. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that side.
Well, it is definitely a top dollar item for us. I guess that's like the less exciting one for me, but like I just love interacting with people face to face. It is definitely like we are kind of carving out a part of our budget for the paid, like Google paid social, all of that. I know that, so I'm an Android user. Sorry, green texture here. So for me, like the Apple updates like didn't impact me. Like I'm still targeted, like whatever by tracked around the internet, but I understand that like the game has completely changed after that, like Apple, privacy update. And so we haven't done any of it before. So I'm kind of going into it a little bit blindly. I think too, something that's really different about our brand and like a struggle that we've faced in terms of online advertising, is that we don't want to push people to buy online. Because shipping frozen is so expensive, and people are used to Amazon, and like there's just, especially now like UPS just renegotiated their contracts. Like, I can only imagine the prices are going to go up even further, which is fine, like all for the living wage. But it's just that people don't get that, like dry ice, UPS next day, blah 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 blah. Like the shipping alone is like $65, just the shipping, right? And then it's all the dry ice and the materials on top of it. So our struggle, like a lot of times when people run paid ads, it's like buy now. And you can easily track the conversions on an ad. But with us, we have an online site, like an online store that people can land on, but we're really trying to make it prominent. Like, yes, these are your options, but find us in store. Like, if you don't like these prices, like here's a store near you, and really make that messaging prominent. So I think it'll be interesting to see like how we're trying to be extremely targeted with the areas that we are, we picked like 5 geographic areas to focus on for paid social and for SEO. And so that way we can hopefully try to draw some connections between like an uptick in sales in stores and our marketing efforts. Because I feel like if we just went like nationwide blanketing, it would be harder to see if those marketing efforts are paying off.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think with a less of an emphasis on direct to consumer, you obviously are also not emphasizing paid social as much. I'm assuming you're probably not emphasizing PR as much either, because the digital media company writes about you and links out, the same issue occurs.
I should say that we were really flying by this. I mean, everyone's always flying by the seat of their pants, but we were like holding on for dear life, like up through January, because we were doing our own production. Like my sister was like boiling pierogi every day through January. And like, I was washing dishes, like literally just so in it that we're kind of a little bit behind the ball, like with the strategy. Like we've been working on the strategy now for 6 months and kind of like getting my bearings. So we haven't really done much. Like anything that's happened has happened organically. So we are doing some PR, but or we're trying to ramp that up. And some of it is inevitably going to push to buy online. Like that's going to happen. But the hope is, like, for example, we were in the Skim, and the Skim put us in the newsletter, and like that resulted in like 100 orders, online, which for us is a lot for like a week for sure. But some people were like, oh, like I saw you, like, where can I buy? And so then they're emailing. So then there's that. I was able to like get a hold of the New York Times on my own. And they said that they're considering us for their holiday gift guide, which would be like enormous. And that is definitely going to drive online sales, but you're just like, okay, we do it. And then like it, obviously people will get aware, like they maybe see the store mapper, maybe that drives them to stores. Like it's inevitable, right? So we are doing some PR, and we are going to do the paid social. That's going to be a chunk of money starting in the fall. But it's just about managing that message where it's like, yes, there is this option, but go to stores. So we are doing it. It's just, we've been doing nothing. We've been doing nothing but like events, and like I have a ton of fun on our social media. That's all organic followers and like pretty high engagement. Paid social and the PR, we've done like only organic outright people who reach out to us. So it's all starting new.
Well, congratulations on reaching some amazing outlets on your own. That's a huge feat.
We'll see what happens.
Maybe you don't need the endless budget after all.
Yeah, I try to just be creative. Like I really try. I say like, and I said the same thing, when I graduated college and a lot of my friends went off to get master's degrees. I was like, I want to see how far I can get before I can't go and get any farther, like without this degree, and I kind of feel the same way about some of the marketing things. There's certain things I do not know how to do. Like I do not know anything about SEO. I don't paid social. Like I always say, I feel like it's like going to the gym and being like, I think this is working. Is this working? I'm not sure. Like you need someone who really knows what they're doing. But some of the stuff like PR or, the social media, like straight up social media or whatever, like I feel like and we don't use any brokers either for our sales. So like we just say like, let's just see how far we can get without all of this. And then when we feel like we hit that wall, then we like we'll reconsider. But thus far, we're like in close to 2,000 stores without any brokers, just knocking on those doors and So just keep going, until you can't go any further.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
very
the
inspiring what you've done so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the total scrappy part though, It's so funny, Jenna. We're like, yeah, we would use it to fund, we would use it to do free fills, we would do it, for this, like on the retail side. And Jenna's like, and how about social? Oh yeah, that too. And then PR, and then it's like it's a never ending like
Right.
marketing. It's like, marketing is like the whole like that's how you grow they'll say that's how you grow the brand, because it's brand awareness and it's getting people to touch the product and try the product and everything else. So that just the marketing piece, there's so many arms of how to get it out there. It's like it's sometimes it's just dizzying, which you can hear from Vanessa. Oh yeah, and paid social, and then she went off and like, yeah, we're gonna do this and this too. It's just it doesn't.
I always joke that like my brain is like leaking out of my ears. Can you see it? All these ideas, and it's just like ding 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 ding. Like, yeah.
Mine is like, remember the phone booth and like all the sheets of paper, you would have to grab something, see how many you could grab. Like, I feel like that's what am I going to get today? What's going to stick?
Well, then, Rachel, I'm going to have you answer this question next. If you had unlimited budget, sounds like your answer is also going to be surrounding marketing, but what would you do with an unlimited budget?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. And Mala's deep, right? Because everything, it's made with like real ingredients and it doesn't exist in the market today. So each flavor is like 19 to 26 ingredients. So it's designed to be like a drink, but really like the drinking aspect, the hot drink. People love the flavor. They love the flavor. And then it's always ... what else can I do with it? So really like for cooking, it's super effortless. So it also, kind of helps take the stress out of the kitchen, because anywhere you're cooking with water, like, that's a great, easy way to do flavor without having to chop up so many vegetables, without having to, do layers of seasonings and spices, etc. So there's that piece. And then if you're trying to work on the wellness side, there's a whole category of people that are low income and they need it. And so for me, like, that's a personal, I want them to have it. And, all of our ingredients are, they're premium. They're either organic or single origin. So our costs were definitely like competitive cost. But yeah, if we could have the funds to be able to be in that category, to be able to give away so much, oh my God, like it's so heartwarming. So there's that. And then yes, like, then the marketing, for Amazon and Walmart Marketplace, like we're working to be on there by the fall. That's like, those are dollars. Like they want you to have a broker to get you onto the space. And like that broker is, probably about $3,500 a month for a little while. So, and you've got two pieces. So that would be amazing to be able to have somebody to man that. So I'm with you, Vanessa, like SEO and like typing all. Then you have those commerce places, like those are SEO, like that's a whole nother, it's like, where do you want to put your energy at? And doing that isn't really, it's not my strength either. So yeah, that's where I would put it for sure. And being able to travel, like if it's, traveling around the country to meet as many people as possible. Because when they have it, like they love it, like the events, we do great at the events. It's just choosing which events you can be a part of that you can financially do.
Yeah, absolutely. You covered some really interesting things there. I love how you touched upon the fact that it's challenging to get your products to the population that might need it most. I think that's like a really common challenge that founders face, where they've made this incredible better for you product and they're like, there's so many people who would benefit from this, but there are so many cost barriers to that. So it was a really interesting point you brought up there.
But
Kayla,
all of it, like,
I want to hear from you.
Yeah, sorry. It's just all of it though. Like that, there's the whole wellness piece in general. Like low income, like guess what you're getting? Like you're able to get the process, like all the things that aren't gonna help your health. Like it's just a pain point.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Glad you brought that up as well. So yeah, Kayla, let's get to you. If you had unlimited budget right now, what would you do besides potential childcare, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
If I had an unlimited budget right now, I think the two things that I would focus the most on, two to three things, would be one, demos, like in-store demos. I think like that is just unmatched. There's just nothing that compares to that. And for us in particular, I mean, you touched on it about the education piece. I would say like there is a whole population that like needs to be educated on what we are, but then I would say like even within like our cultural set, there's like a lot of skepticism around like, oh, so wait, you took an agua fresca and put it in the can. Is it any good? You know, like all of that kind of stuff. So I would say like demos really help make that conversion for us. So demos would be the number one thing that I would invest in. The second thing that I would focus on is a loyalty program because we are such a community based brand and like that's how we even bootstrapped in our first years. So like just really reinvesting to our very loyal consumers and hopefully building even more loyal consumers would be another really like high ticket item for us to invest a lot in. And then the third thing that I would invest in is just like innovation. I think that there's new flavors that we want to debut, especially with like a more emphasis on like cost of goods and things like that, right? I think like when you come out with a product at the beginning, you make what you want, but then once you like get into the business, you realize like all the different cuts that are going to come with it, and you kind of become a little bit more savvy. So I would say like just focusing on like innovation, new flavors, and like new formats too. I think that there's like other categories that we would want to dabble in. But all of that costs like a lot of money. So yes, I would do demos, loyalty program, and then innovation.
That was all really fascinating, and I'm glad you touched on the innovation piece as well, because I can imagine that is probably one of the costlier things in the business for sure. Yeah. So I now want to get to, I think we have time for one more question, and I don't know if you can hear in the background, my doorbell is ringing. We're ignoring that. But we have time for more questions. So I want to get to one that I'm actually really excited to hear all of your answers to, which is, what is something that has been a really helpful tool in your toolkit right now? So this can be a software that you're using, maybe a process that you've nailed down with your team or lack of a team, or an external partner that's been just like a really helpful tool for you to have. And I would also love to hear your why. So Vanessa, we're kicking off again with you.
Yeah, so I think this might be like an obvious one to some people, but so my sister and I are in business together. I think something for people who are just starting out their business, sometimes when you start, you're just like, you don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are because you've never been put in this position before to like run a business, and you kind of assume that you're supposed to be doing everything. And it took us like many years to kind of isolate or figure out like what we were both really good at. And I think especially with the transition to co-manufacturing, it really allowed us to be like, you're doing this and I'm doing this, and we're not crossing over, and we meet on Monday and Friday. And we talk, and like, obviously we can talk to each other in the middle, but I think previously it was like utter chaos with our communication. We would be like, to messaging each other all the time, and it just creates stress. So the fact that we have like set meetings really allows like us to get our questions together for each other. And I think we do utilize email as well to like not just constantly bombard the other person on messages all day. So I think like adding the structure has really helped us. And that's kind of like a basic one, but maybe something people take for granted. And then I think another one that's a little bit like out of the ordinary that I've started to leverage more as like a really scrappy business that's trying to figure out some of this stuff is like bartering and knowledge sharing. So going back to like understanding like what your strengths are. So like I find that like one of my strengths is social media, and it's not a strength for other people, versus like I just got on a call yesterday with a girl who she makes like dresses So it's not obviously food, but it's, you know, I partnered with her. We did a collab. The linen of her dresses comes from Poland. So it was like a natural thing that we did, like a pierogi and dress giveaway. But when we were doing that giveaway, she was like sending all of these emails to all these PR, like all these contacts, trying to like doing all the PR. And I was like, oh my God, that was the first eye-opening experience I had where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing any of this. And I don't even know who these people are. And I don't even know how to find them. Like, and she has all of these contacts. So I actually got on a call with her yesterday, and we bartered knowledge. So I was like, okay, you tell me about PR and like how how you think about it and how you go about it and then your recommendations. And I will share my thoughts on social media. So it's like a way to, with two founders that maybe don't have funds to like, if they, pay an agency or something like that, if you have something you can offer someone else, I just feel like I'm going to try to do more of that. It's like learn from other people and then share the knowledge I can in return.
I love that answer. That's like, what a great tool to have in your toolkit. It's just learning from other founders. I think a lot of founders in this space are generous and happy to share information, regardless if there's something in return. But I also think in you explaining something to another brand that maybe is one of your strengths, you're probably learning a lot just explaining something that you're already great at to somebody else. I think hearing things out loud gives you a new sense of confidence in your skills. So yeah. I love that. Great answers. Rachel, what about you? What's a great tool in your toolkit these days?
Yeah, and Vanessa, I think that was awesome. Like, I'm just starting up with a couple collabs, and it's just being around, like going to Expo West, like to be around and meet the other founders. It's so fun. It's so exhilarating, and there's so much you learn so much and you get so many more ideas just from like being with, like, even just today, I was like, oh, I already have like 5 things, right? But I honestly so I'm really not, I think I mentioned tech savvy. I'm really not so great at it. But the Slack channel, like there have been a couple of things, and like to go, like people are like from the heart. Like I got so many DMs from like, strangers, just because like some things come up, and to be able to have, like, I truly think like that's a treasure. And honestly, like the customers, like customer feedback, it's fun to see like what people buy and like who your loyal customers are. Like I sometimes it's just reach out, like even if their email is cool, like their email sounded cool, or hey, like what are you doing with this? And just to hear, it's like, wow, so many people like mix the two girls together, or people use it like for their eggs. Like, I don't think, you know what I mean? It's funny. It's like, once you have it and you put it out, it's really fascinating to see like how people use it like in their daily lives, the way you wouldn't have really even imagined it. And I think that that's like, a great gift to be able to share like with other customers and say, oh, so-and-so mixes, Cosmic Curry with Mushroom Brainiac. And you would never think, you just think, oh, I only use one flavor, or you wouldn't think to put it in eggs, that it sort of takes it like to this whole different, like I didn't even think of that. So I think my customers, just talking to them is giving great insight, and they'll say, what if you did this? Like people have so many ideas as well, and they're your people. So I think really listening to them kind of helps drive like what the next product's going to be, or who you should collab with, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
I love that you said your customers. That is such a great perspective to have, to see that your customers are a resource in themselves. And also just your demonstration of how it's possible to see customers like as a conversational resource. I think it's often seen as like a very one-sided thing or transactional thing. Maybe you hear feedback from them through reviews, but you're not usually talking back. And I think it's really awesome that you're reaching out to your customers and starting those conversations. It's almost an untapped resource, I think, in a lot of cases. So it's really cool that you are tapping in. Kayla, what about you? What is it?
Yeah, I think they drive it.
Yes, definitely. What's a helpful tool in your toolkit right now, Kayla?
I mean, a helpful tool in my toolkit is also a person like everyone else's. But I would say my employees, but if I had to choose one thing, like one employee in particular, our head of creative, like we do all of our branding and creative in-house. So like all of it, from everything on social, like all the photos, of everything. And I think like creativity is one of those things that's really difficult to outsource, especially when you have like a very distinct like brand vision or a way of like wanting to present things, because you can pay outside agencies to come up with things for you, but that doesn't mean that they're like really going to be like reflective and really like resonate what you want to do. So having someone on the inside that knows exactly what we want to communicate and like, oops, I lost an earbud. Exactly what we want it to feel like, and what we want it to ultimately look like, and be able to like have the talent to produce that in house. I think has been like the most valuable toolkit, like over and over and over, because I think like that really is like the gateway to so many things, right? It's like it's how we show up in the community, and it's like it's how we present ourselves to retailers. It's really how we navigate our identity like in this whole world. So yeah, so I'd say my employees, but for sure having a creative internally has been super, super helpful.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. And we can make sure we tag your head of creative in the comments, because we should definitely give them a shout out. It is a rare resource to have creative in-house for a startup brand. So that's really incredible that you're able to achieve that. And I would say it definitely shows in all of the work that you do, from packaging to social. Like it's all just this consistent, beautiful brand. So I agree. Your creative team is doing an awesome job. All right. Well, I think we ran out of time for more questions, but if anyone has any closing thoughts, I'd love to go around really quickly, starting with Vanessa. Any closing thoughts, any learnings you wanted to share, or just how can we find Jaju Pierogi?
Sure. Yeah. So I think my one closing thought would be kind of echo something that Rachel said at the beginning, which is things can feel like they're taking a very long time to happen, but then when you look back, it's like a flash, and you're just like, okay, I got it done, and I in the moment it was like eating me inside that it was taking so long, but then it did happen, and you're actually moving faster than you think.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then in terms of finding us, so we have we have a store located on our website. We kind of range from like farm stands to major chains, but the major chains that we're in are in the Northeast: Big Y, Stop and Shop, Dave's Marketplace, Hannaford's in upstate New York, Mom's, Harris Teeter. We're launching Fresh Market. We're at Market District, and then Sprouts is kind of the bottom half, and then just like a lot of independents along the way. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Rachel, what about you? Closing thoughts, and where can we find Mala Girl?
No, this was super fun. I'm glad I got to meet you guys in person, even if it's, almost in person, Zoomish. It's as close as we're gonna get. So thanks. No, this is great. Malagirl.com. And we're just getting started in retail. So we're in Chamberlain's in Florida, and Nature's Food Patch, and then some other independents kind of scattered around the country.
Awesome. Thank you. And Kayla, awesome. Kayla, we're going to close with you then.
Yeah, I guess a closing statement, I would just say like, it's really rough out there right now for a lot of folks. And like, we are all in this kind of together. So I would say like find your founder friends to like help you through this, because they're going to be the people that like best understand, and will make you feel like it's not just you, because it is really, rough out there right now for a lot of folks. And I think, if we can just like kind of get through this part, then, if you're still standing after this, then that's a testament to the strength and persistence, really. I think that's really what it is, just persistence. But in terms of where you can find us at Whole Foods, any Whole Foods. So go to Whole Foods and go ahead and pick up an Agua Bonita. We're in Center Store in most places. And then if you're in California, you can visit a Target in California and pick us up there. So yeah, Whole Foods anywhere and Targets in California. Go find Agua Bonita.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for participating in this. It has been such a joy to hear from all of you. And I think there were some really awesome insights shared in this. And I also love hearing from brands that are all in kind of different stages. So it's just been such a pleasure. And to all listening, if you want to find awesome founder friends, like Kayla said, Startup CPG is a really great place to start. Just Slack, even if you're just a lurker. I'm usually just a lurker myself, actually, even though I work for Startup CPG. And there's a lot of great resources in there, in addition to just incredible humans who are doing some awesome stuff. So that is all for now, and we'll see you next episode of The Dish.